Everything is about awareness. Everything is about awareness. The more aware you are, right, the more potential you're accessing. Potential externally, potential internally, right? In fact, I could even argue that unlocking your potential is raising your awareness. It's one and the same, right? Because the more aware you are, the more potential you have access to. The more of you there is, because you're aware of more. You can't access things that you're not aware of, right? So it's all about awareness. Everything you're doing is to raise. You're trying to understand things more, and often we try and understand other people, right? Consciously, how things work, but unconsciously, it's always to be aware of yourself, what's possible for yourself. So let's flip the consciousness around and be consciously aware that everything we're doing is to raise our self-awareness. So when we hear stories of others, it's only because we want to understand ourselves more through them and through their stories, right? It's something like that. So everything you're doing is designed to raise your awareness. And the higher your awareness, the more able you are to have the right attitude for you in whatever situation you're in, so that you can apply yourself in the best way possible, so you can take the best actions possible. And here's the thing, when you take the best actions possible, that in turn raises your awareness. When you have the best attitude about whatever situation you're in, and you get to choose whatever your attitude is, right? You get to choose whether this is an opportunity or a problem. You get to choose whether it's a potential or whether it's a dead end. You get to choose whether it's exciting or boring. You get to choose that, by the way, in terms of your attitude. So when you become aware of your attitude in any given situation, right, that also increases your awareness. When you become aware of how you apply yourself, that increases your awareness. And when you become aware of the actions that you're taking intentionally, like what am I doing here and why, that also helps raise your awareness. So, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about what I mean by so let's say you're going to a party. Let's make it a simple one that everyone understands. Pre-COVID, of course. What's your attitude about going to the party? What's your attitude about yourself? The way you look? Your potential contributions to the party? What's your attitude about the party itself, right? Before going there. Oh my God, Dan's going to be there again with his boring jokes, and oh, I bet it's going to be stinky, and I bet there's no air conditioning. I bet I'm not going to be able to put my jacket anywhere, and there's not going to be nowhere to, how are we going to get there? And there's going to be no Ubers and whatever the hell it is. So that's attitude. That's how the idea is showing up for you. That's based on your attitude. And then how you apply yourself is how you prepare for the party. How are you going to prepare in terms of your presentation, in terms of your mindset to meeting your ex-girlfriend or Dan or not, now that you know that there's going to be difficulty with Uber? How are you going to apply yourself to prepare for that? And then the actions that you take on the back of that. The conversations you strike, the way you act, the way you behave, the way you drink, all that kind of stuff. This is all linked, and this is all shaped by your levels of awareness at each given each given stage, and then the outcome of you going to the party will be based on how well you managed your attitude, how well you applied yourself, and how well you took the actions that were going to support you to get the outcomes that you wanted from the party. Maybe I'll give you a business version of this. So you're starting a business. What's your attitude about it? Is it make or break? Is it exciting? Right? Is it it's better than the job? Is it I had no other choice? Right? What is your attitude? How is this the situation showing up for you? That's a good way of looking at attitude. How things show up for you. So you've got beliefs, which is how the world works in your model. Values, which is how the world should work. And then attitude is the consequence of that. It's how things show up for you. Any given situation. The train being late. Your friend buying you a present. Your mom criticizing you. Your football team losing. Your favorite sandwich not being available in the store and the sandwich shop that you went to. These are all situations. How does that situation show up for you? How do you experience that situation? is determined by your attitude, right? Which stems from your belief systems and your value structure. Once you understand, once you start noticing in terms of awareness your attitude about things, you can start to become more aware of how you can choose your attitude, choose your response, choose how things show up for you. How do you want to feel when your favorite sandwich is in the store? How do you want to feel when your mom criticizes you? How do you want to feel? Not how do you feel, not what is the reaction, how do you want to, right? And then you can start applying yourself in a different way. You can start applying yourself in a different way in terms of how you prepare for those situations. That's responsibility in many ways, how you respond, right? Your ability to respond to whatever the situation is, especially if you know what the situation is, right? If you know what, or you know a potential situation because of past history, then you can now prepare yourself better. And that's based on application. And then the actions that you're going to take are determined by that. Because sometimes we have this thing about, I won't respond, or I'll act civilly, or I won't react, or I won't criticize. You have that intention that you're not going to act a certain way, but then you end up acting that certain way. Why? Well, that's because your attitude hasn't changed and the way you applied yourself hasn't changed. And your levels of awareness haven't been raised enough to be able to show the actions that you wanted to show, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. That's the idea. So at every level, because we're too shallow often in our thinking, in our analysis, right? You see it in football all the time. Like a football team will lose and suddenly it's because the referee, or it's because this guy was injured. It's like, it's so complicated. It's 22 people on a pitch, human beings, with weather, Mother Nature, and a ball that goes different directions, and and certain conditions and decisions being made, and the supporters influencing the player. Like, it's so complicated. That's why sports is fascinating. But we're always on the surface level because we want to show that we're aware. Oh, I spotted something. I know why this sucked, and I know why this didn't work. And it's like, well, sometimes we're trying to be too clever for our own good. What we want to do is go deeper, right? What was I expecting? How did I prepare for the eventualities, and what actions did I take on the back of that? It's a much deeper way, a much fuller way of understanding why things happen the way they do, and being more aware of what you can control and what you can't control, which is ultimately the symbol of self-awareness, is being aware of what you can control and focusing on that, and being aware of what you can't control and letting that go once you become aware of it. So